Heartwarming rescue, twins save forgotten baby, unknowingly revealing his billionaire legacy. Mia and Max were known as the inseparable twins of Maplewood suburb, two 12-year-olds bound by a bond thick as blood and thick as summer sunshine. On this particularly balmy day, an air of adventure crackled in the warmth, coaxing them to explore the secluded corners of Oak Park. Their laughter echoed as they raced past playgrounds and picnicking families, blissfully unaware that fate was about to flip their world upside down. As they wandered deeper into the park, the cheerful sounds faded into an eerie quiet. Then, amidst the rustling leaves, they heard a soft whimper that sliced through the silence. Curiosity ignited, and they followed the sound until they stumbled upon the most heart-wrenching sight, a malnourished baby, no more than a few months old, nestled in a tattered blanket. "Oh my goodness! Look!" Mia gasped, a hand rising to cover her mouth. Max's eyes widened in disbelief. The blushing cheeks of the baby were streaked with tears, and his tiny, trembling hands reached out as if grasping for comfort. "We have to help him," Max declared, chest tight with the urgency of their discovery. They hurriedly scooped him up, wrapping him in their clothes, swearing to protect him no matter the cost. The moment felt monumental. They had crossed from childhood into a world of heavy responsibility. Back at home, their parents, hardened by years of blue-collar work, exchanged glances filled with both warmth and fear. "What are we supposed to do?" their mother questioned, her voice tinged with worry. "We can't just keep him." Their dad, always the logical one, bit his lip while shadows of doubt clouded his mind. Meanwhile, grumpy neighbors whispered remarks about the twins' act of compassion, questioning the worthiness of the baby they had saved. "Who would want a child like that?" one called out. Mia and Max felt the weight of their community's scrutiny as the whispers grew louder. Despite the indignation bubbling inside, they mustered the courage to support each other. Did belonging depend on wealth? They refused to believe that. Then one fateful afternoon, the drama escalated. A glamorous couple burst into their lives, claiming the baby was theirs. Confusion roiled within. Who were they really? Why had they abandoned him? Fueled by a fierce determination, the twins didn't back down. They dove into the truth, digging into the child's background, searching old newspapers and speaking with locals. The layers of mystery peeled away to reveal shocking realities. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. It turned out this child was more than just abandoned. He was the heir to a billionaire fortune, the pieces of his legacy tangled with power and greed. Boundaries of class and love warped as Mia and Max stood in the eye of the storm, trying to break their community's prejudices one heart at a time. Just when they thought they had uncovered everything, a revelation loomed on the horizon, threatening to shatter their world further. Would they defend the baby, whom they had come to love, against a world that saw only riches? The future felt more uncertain than ever, and as new questions emerged, the essence of family and sacrifice beckoned them to decide. The end was just the beginning. Mia and Max sat cross-legged on their bedroom floor, the weight of the baby between them heavy in the air. The soft coos of the little one surrounded them, a soothing sound that felt painfully juxtaposed with the chaos brewing outside. It had been days since the couple had appeared claiming the child as their own. Each time they confronted Mia and Max, their polished appearances and sharp words dug deeper into the twins' hearts. "I can't believe they just expect us to hand him over," Max said, frustration knotting his brow. He held the baby closer, a protective warmth radiating from his body. Mia bit her lip, struggling to contain the swell of emotions. "What if we find a way to prove he belongs with us?" The thought rushed in, fueled by courage from the countless stories they had read about brave kids saving their families. Like a secret mission? Max's eyes twinkled, the simple act cheering Mia's heart. "Exactly. We need evidence, something that shows he is ours to protect, she affirmed, nodding. They had become little detectives finding not just a baby, but evidence of his worth beyond riches. The next day, they put their plan into action. Dressed in their most inconspicuous clothes, old jeans and plain t-shirts, they returned to the park where they found him. They would speak to anyone who could unveil more of the baby's story. As they entered the park, they felt a blend of fear and excitement, like crossing an invisible barrier. Mia approached an elderly woman seated on a bench. "Excuse me," she said, voice steady despite the rapid pounding of her heart. "Do you know anything about the baby that was found here?" The old woman smiled, her eyes crinkling. "Ah, yes, the little one everyone's been talking about. Poor thing. I saw a couple loitering nearby a few days before he was found. They seemed off, in a way." "Off how?" Max leaned in. "Rich, but not kind. They were arguing, and I overheard something about a family dispute. Didn't he catch much, but it felt wrong, like they didn't care about the baby," she said, shaking her head in disapproval. Mia's heart raced. "That's it. We need more. Did you see what they looked like?" The woman nodded and described them, weaving a vivid image that lit the twins' determination aflame. They thanked her, sprinting toward the next potential lead, an older man who often watched children at the swings. An hour passed, filled with snippets of conversations, clues and dead ends. Finally, they found a new ally in a local journalist who had been following the couple's questionable dealings. "I'll help you," he whispered to them, his voice low. "Let us uncover the truth behind that baby." As night fell, Mia and Max returned home, their heads buzzing with ideas and plans. They gathered in their room, a world of possibility sprawled out before them. With a makeshift map of connections on their bed and more determination than anyone their age should have, they began to plot a course toward clarity for the little boy who had unwittingly bound them all together. "Tomorrow, we dig deeper," Max said, and with a nod, they both understood that this was more than just about saving the baby. Now it was about standing up against a world that had failed him. Little did they know, however, a pair of shadowy figures was already onto them, tracking their every move with insidious scrutiny. As the twins marched forward in their quest, the stakes began to rise, revealing that their bravery might cost them more than they bargained for. Could they unravel the mystery before it was too late, or would the powerful forces lurking in the shadows snatch everything away? The answer loomed, just within reach. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the window, painting soft patterns on the bedroom floor where Mia and Max sat. Their makeshift map lay between them, crisscrossed with scribbles and small drawings. It felt alive, like their determination. The gravity of what they were about to do hit them again as they prepared to leave. "What's our first stop?" Mia asked, her voice steadier than her racing heart. Max squinted at the notes they'd piled up. "I think we should go see that journalist again. He might know exactly who to talk to next." The twins dressed quickly, their minds focused on the mission ahead. Stepping out of their house, they exchanged a glance, a shared understanding passing between them. No matter what, they would protect the baby. The bus ride to the newspaper office was tense. Each stop pushed the adrenaline further in their veins. Mia fidgeted with her sleeves, while Max stared out the window, trying to discern if anyone was watching them. They arrived, breathless and determined. "Just be casual," Mia whispered as they entered the building. The air smelled of fresh ink and old paper, and the bustling sounds of reporters filled their ears. They spotted the journalist, a tall man with a kind face and a fervor for justice, typing furiously at his desk. "Mr. Green," Max called out as they approached. The journalist turned, his expression shifting from surprise to encouragement. "You two came back. Any progress?" "We need your help," Mia said, desperation creeping into her voice. "Do you know anyone who might have more information about the couple claiming the baby?" Mr. Green looked around the busy office, then leaned in closer. "I've been working a lead on that couple's background. They have connections to several wealthy families, but they seem shady too. If the baby is tied to them, we need to act swiftly." He scribbled down a name and an address. This is a woman who might know more about the couple and their past. But be careful if they're watching you, you could be putting yourselves at risk. A cold chill ran through both Mia and Max. We understand, Max replied, simmering with determination, but worry creased his brow. They left the building, clutching the paper tightly. Outside, the streets felt darker, as if the sky sensed the weight of their mission. Let us go to her, Mia urged, her eyes sparkling with courage. On their way, they kept glancing over their shoulders, sudden movements making their hearts race. The world around them felt electric, every shadow a potential threat. After several blocks, they reached a quaint house, a garden full of wildflowers inviting yet eerily quiet. Knocking on the door, their hearts thumped in unison. Each tick of the clock seemed to echo in their ears. Suddenly, the door creaked open just a fraction. A woman with tired eyes and a warm smile peered through. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice holding an edge of caution that in a flurry of words, the twins explained everything: the baby, the couple's claims, their quest for truth. The woman listened intently, her brows furrowing with each detail. "Come in," she said finally, stepping aside. The twins crossed the threshold, anticipation tangling with fear as they waited to hear what might unravel next, but as they entered, they had no idea that the shadows following them were closing in, and their courage would soon be tested in ways they never imagined. Would they find the truth, or were they about to lose everything they fought for? Inside the warm, inviting home, the twins felt a flicker of hope mixed with apprehension. The woman, her name now revealed as Clara, gestured for them to sit at a small, round table cluttered with plants and old books. Her demeanor softened, and a flicker of understanding crossed her face. "Tell me everything," she urged, her voice low as if the walls themselves might be listening. Max started recounting their journey, the twists and turns that had led them here, while Mia nodded along, feelings of urgency surging through her. "We just want to protect the baby," she added, her voice trembling with vulnerability. "He deserves to be safe." Clara's gaze hardened, a storm of emotions swirling behind her eyes. "You're brave to take this on yourselves. But you need to be careful. The people you're dealing with are dangerous." She hesitated before adding, "I know them. Trust me, they won't let anyone interfere." "What do you mean?" Max asked, his worry deepening. "They are part of a circle that protects their interests at any cost. They won't stop until they get what they want, even if it means hurting others." Clara's hands trembled slightly as she spoke. Mia's heart raced. "But what does that mean for the baby? Is he safe with them?" "The truth is, I've heard whispers." Clara leaned in closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "If the couple is after that baby, it's because he holds something more than just a life. He is connected to a legacy, a fortune that could change everything." "What kind of legacy?" Max pressed, his curiosity ignited. Clara took a deep breath, the weight of her words heavy in the air. "The baby is connected to a family that cut ties with their past, wealthy but tainted. If people find out about him." She trailed off, her eyes darting back to the door. Mia felt a chill settle over her as the implications sunk in. "We have to protect him." "But how?" Clara straightened, a flicker of determination touching her features. "You'll need proof. The couple may have kept secrets, something that would expose them. Records, pictures, anything that ties them to their past. If you can find that, you might hold the key to stopping them and securing the baby's safety." Mia and Max exchanged a glance, the gravity of their mission settling over them like an unexpected weight. They had to dig deeper into the shadows, to locate what was hidden. Tricky, dangerous work, but their determination flared brightly within them. Suddenly, a loud knock echoed through the house, jolting them back to the moment. Clara's eyes widened in alarm. "They're here. You have to get out, now." Panic surged as the twins dashed toward the back door, their resolve hardening. They had stumbled into something much larger than themselves, but there was no going back. Fleeing into the garden, they crossed through the wildflowers as urgency drove them. "What do we do now?" Max gasped, Glancing back toward the house with dread, Mia pointed to the street ahead. "We need to find the records Clara mentioned. It's our only shot, Max." As they sprinted away, the shadows that had threatened to engulf them felt nearer than ever. They wouldn't just be saving a baby, they would be unraveling an entire web of deceit. But with every step they took, the ominous reality loomed. Time was slipping through their fingers. Would they uncover the truth before it was too late? As they dashed through the wildflowers, Mia's mind raced. "Where do we even start looking?" she panted, glancing at Max, whose face was set in a determined frown. "We need to head to the library," he replied, pulling her along. Clara mentioned records. There might be something there. The library loomed ahead, a large brick building that had withstood the test of time, much like the stories it housed. Its windows gleamed in the late afternoon sun, but Mia couldn't shake the fear fluttering in her chest. They both understood the stakes now. This wasn't just about finding records, it was about saving a child's future. "Focus," Mia whispered, shaking the nerves away as they reached the entrance. She felt her heart thumping in her chest. It echoed her thoughts, the weight of the mission they had taken on, the looming danger, the fragility of the baby's safety. Inside, the air was cool and smelled faintly of old paper and glue. Rows of books cast long shadows in the light spilling through high windows. "We should split up," Max suggested, his voice barely audible amidst the whispers of people engrossed in reading. "I'll check the archives. You look for anything related to the family." Mia nodded, her stomach tightening. "Be careful." They exchanged a fleeting moment of reassurance before heading in opposite directions. Mia scanned the shelves, trailing her fingers along the spines of books. The names on the covers blurred as anxiety blurred her focus. She moved quickly, searching for anything: headlines, obituaries, anything to give them a lead. Thoughts of the baby filled her mind. Would he understand the world he was born into? Would she be able to protect him from the shadows lingering in the background, from people unafraid to hurt others? Meanwhile, Max discovered the archives downstairs, navigating the musty air. Dust motes danced in the shafts of sunlight as he rifled through old newspapers and brittle documents, heart racing with anticipation. He found a file labeled "The Abernathy Family" with a date that seemed too recent. Staring at the papers, he felt a chill creep down his spine. Images of the couple Clara had described flashed in his mind. Did they know how close he was getting to uncovering the truth? Mia's voice broke through his concentration. "Max!" she called, breathless. He turned just in time to see her emerge from a nearby aisle, her face a mix of excitement and fear. "I found something." He rushed over, breathless. "What is it?" "I discovered an article detailing a scandal involving the Abernathy's, something about their business dealings being questioned," she revealed, holding out a crumpled newspaper clipping. "It mentions ties to a mysterious inheritance." Max's heart raced. A scandal could mean secrets. But before he could process the information, their way out seemed to darken. A loud crash echoed outside, and Mia's eyes widened. What was that? Without thinking, they both rushed to a window. Outside stood a familiar black car, the same one that had tailed them earlier. The sight stole the breath from Mia's lungs. The couple was here, circling the library like predators. "We have to move," Max urged, and they pivoted to find another exit. With urgency thrumming in their veins, they sprinted through stacks of books, dodging startled patrons who turned to stare. As they burst through a side door, adrenaline pumped through them. But now that they had proof, the real challenge lay ahead. They had to expose the Abernathy's, protect the baby, and somehow stay one step ahead of those who would do anything to silence them. Just then, Mia noticed a storm brewing in the sky overhead, a foreboding sign, perhaps. "What if they catch up to us?" she whispered. Max grabbed her hand, his grip reassuring. "They won't. We can't let them. We have to stay focused on our mission." Their resolve hardened as they dashed away into the unknown, but with every shadow that stretched out behind them, the question loomed larger: how far would they go to protect that innocent life? The sound of their hurried footsteps echoed on the pavement, drowning out the tension swirling in the air. Mia's heart raced as they ducked around a corner and darted down a narrow alley. She stole a quick glance back at the library, worried about the dark figure that seemed to lurk just outside the entrance. "We need to get to a safe place," she gasped, her breath hitching in her throat. Max led the way, navigating the streets with instinctive urgency. "There's a cafe just up ahead. We can hide there and figure out our next move," he suggested, his voice steady despite the chaos all around them. As they ran, Mia felt a mix of hope and fear. They had evidence, a glimmer of truth that could expose the Abernethys. But the danger was palpable, lurking just behind them. Each footfall felt like a countdown, a reminder that they were racing against time. They reached the cafe, a quaint spot with a few tables outside. Max pulled her inside, and they settled in the far corner, hidden from view. The smell of coffee and baked goods enveloped them, a strange comfort in the midst of their panic. Mia's hands trembled as she placed the crumpled article on the table, staring at it as if it contained all the answers. "Okay." Max leaned forward, urgency in his eyes. "If the Abernethys are tied to some scandal, maybe we can use that to our advantage. If we expose them." "But how?" Mia interjected, her voice barely above a whisper. "We can't just walk into the police station and drop this on their desk. We need proof that connects them to whatever they're hiding." Max's expression darkened. "We can dig deeper. There has to be more to the story. Maybe Clara has more information. She seemed involved." The mention of Clara sent a shiver down Mia's spine. Just the thought of involving anyone else made her uneasy. "What if they find out?" she said, her eyes wide with fear. "What if they come after Clara too? Clara is tough. We need her help," Max insisted. "And we won't stay in one place for long. We can meet her somewhere safe, away from here." Mia nodded reluctantly, feeling the weight of their situation pressing against her chest. Just then, a loud crash interrupted their conversation. They turned to see two suited men enter the cafe, scanning the room. Their hearts dropped as recognition hit. There was no mistake, they were the same men from the black car. "Max, they're here," Mia whispered urgently, her voice trembling. "We need to go. Now." He grabbed her hand, pulling her to her feet. They slipped out the back door just in time, weaving through the alleyways, the fear of being caught igniting adrenaline in their veins. A question hung in the air, unspoken but clear: how far would the Abernethys go to keep their secrets? They hurried toward Clara's house, hearts pounding and minds racing. Each step was more uncertain than the last. Just when they thought they were safe, a shadow flickered in their periphery. Could it be another person from the couple's circle, or were they truly free? Mia looked at Max, fear intertwining with determination. "We have to hurry. We can't let them ruin that baby's life. Not now, not ever." But as they turned a corner, did they notice it? The storm overhead wasn't just a wild coincidence. It was fierce, and it was coming for them. The wind howled like some weighty harbinger of change. Against that fierce backdrop, a loud crash of thunder echoed, startling them both. "Max, I don't think we're alone," Mia mumbled, her heart racing once more. And before they could react, the ominous growl of a familiar engine cut through the madness of the storm. The sound of the engine sent chills down Mia's spine. A black SUV came into view, its imposing shape silhouetted against the flashes of lightning that illuminated the night sky. It rolled slowly, headlights cutting through the downpour like a searchlight. "Max, we need to hide," she urged, looking for an escape route. But their options were limited. The alley was narrow, tangled with discarded crates and trash cans that seemed to mock their predicament. "Into that doorway." Max pointed to a weathered shopfront just a few feet ahead. They dashed toward it, squeezing through the narrow entrance just as the SUV stopped, tires splashing through the waterlogged street. Inside, the air was stale and musty, every corner cloaked in shadows. They pressed against the wall, hearts pounding as they gathered their breaths listening for footsteps. The storm raged outside, matching the turmoil in Mia's mind. "What do we do now?" she whispered, fear creeping into her voice. "They'll find us." Max's eyes darted around, searching for anything they could use to their advantage. "We lay low, assess the situation. If they come in." He didn't finish the thought, but Mia could see the resolve in his eyes. They couldn't give up now. Minutes felt like hours as they waited, hearts racing with every rumble of thunder and flash of lightning. Finally, the heavy crunch of boots echoed in the alleyway, and a pair of dark figures approached the entrance. Mia and Max held their breaths, barely daring to move, wrapped in an embrace of terror. The door swung open, and two men stepped in, their silhouettes illuminated by the flashes from outside. They were members of the Abernathy security team, scanning the area with practiced precision. "They can't get away," one of the men said, his voice a low growl. "We have to find them before they reach Clara." Mia's heart sank. Clara was their only hope, but now it appeared she might be in danger too. Max leaned close to Mia, whispering fiercely. "We have to warn her. If they're looking for us, they might be watching her, too." A plan began forming in her mind, fueled by the explosion of adrenaline coursing through her. "What if we use my phone? I can text Clara, but we'll have to be discreet." "Do it fast," Max urged, watching the men with narrowed eyes. "I'll keep an eye out." Mia fished her phone from her pocket, her fingers trembling as she typed a quick message, pleading for Clara to stay alert and not to meet them anywhere familiar. She knew it was a risk, but there was no choice. They couldn't allow their friend to be dragged into this dark world. Suddenly, one of the men turned, facing their hiding spot. Mia's stomach lurched as he took a step closer, peering into the gloom. "Did you hear that?" he asked, lowering his voice. "Hurry," Max whispered, grabbing her arm. In a flash, they slipped out the back door, back into the storm, praying the rain would mask their escape. They sprinted into the street, the city around them transformed into a dark sea of reflections and shadows. Drenched and desperate, they ran, Max's hand gripping Mia's as they zigzagged through the downpour. Hope mixed with dread as they envisioned Clara's safety, imagining her worried face as the storm swirled around them, but just as they thought they were free, the engine roared back to life. The SUV lurked, following their every move as they turned another corner. Mia's voice trembled, panic rising. "They won't stop until they find us." "We won't stop either," Max replied, determination flashing in his eyes. "We're close to Clara. We can't let them win. Let us keep going." With every step, the weight of their mission pressed harder on Mia's shoulders. The fight was no longer just for the baby, it was for Clara's future and maybe their own. But as they reached the next street, a figure stepped out of the shadows, drenched yet defiant. Clara stood there, eyes wide and intense. "Mia. Max. What happened?" Mia's heart raced anew. Would their frantic message mean trouble for Clara now? Before she could respond, headlights flooded the street ahead, illuminating the face of danger once more. "This isn't over," Max muttered, preparing to flee yet again. But what had they just stumbled into, and was Clara already in deeper than they could imagine? Mia felt a cold wave of dread wash over her as she locked eyes with Clara. Adrenaline coursed through her veins, the storm raging both inside and outside her mind. "Clara, get back. We need to run." She could barely contain her fear. "What? Why?" Clara's voice rose, confusion battling with concern. Before Mia could reply, the engine revved louder, and the headlights bathed the street in stark luminosity, revealing the SUV cruising, an ominous predator in the chaos of rain. It was like a scene from a nightmare come to life. "Trust us," Max shouted, using urgency to pierce through Clara's uncertainty. He started to pull Mia further away from the approaching danger. But Clara stood firm, a mix of defiance and fright on her face. "I'm not leaving without answers." Now's not the time. Mia snapped, exasperated. They know we're here. We need to move. Everything felt so overwhelming. The storm, the danger, the looming threat of the SUV, it clouded her vision. Yet, amidst it all, one thought burned clear: they had to protect Clara. Mia reached for Clara's arm, pulling her toward the alley. Listen, they're after us because we know about the baby. If they find out we warned you. A sudden crash interrupted her as a figure jumped out of the SUV, followed by another. The men were drenched but determined, scanning the area with laser focus. They went this way, one yelled, pointing down the street. Clara, alarmed by the urgency in their voices, shifted her posture, ready to sprint. This is insane. Is the baby okay? We need to do something. Yeah, and getting caught won't help. Max exclaimed, shimmering anger cracking through his calm. He motioned for Clara to follow as they dashed into the alley. Stick close, don't look back. They ran, hearts pounding in unison, every footstep echoing against the damp asphalt. Narrow walls of brick and trash created a claustrophobic maze, but they pushed through, driven by sheer instinct. Stop! Shouted the pursuers, their shouts bitter in the rain. The reality of their situation loomed over Mia. She felt the nails of fear digging into her chest. If they caught them, she couldn't bear to think what would happen to Clara or to the baby. They veered left, followed by an impossibly wide sound of footsteps splashing behind them. Over here. Max called, darting right, leading them through a hidden passage under a crumbling awning. Mia squeezed Clara's hand, her heart racing faster than her feet. Keep moving, just don't stop. As they stumbled through the darkness, lightning flashed once more, illuminating a way up. There. Mia pointed, spotting a fire escape ladder leading up to an old rooftop. Max didn't hesitate, climbing swiftly. Quick! Get up! He urged, grabbing Clara by her waist and pulling her up. Mia followed right behind, the rain now a blur around her. At the top, they collapsed against the cold structure, their ragged breaths matching the rhythm of the storm. For a moment, they sat in silence, listening as the SUV stopped below, the men's voices mixing with the rain. Where do they go? One asked, frustration thick in the air. Mia held her breath, heart racing. They were not safe yet. What do we do now? She whispered. Clara's phone buzzed loudly, breaking the tension like glass shattering in a quiet room. Mia's eyes widened, panic racing back into her chest. Clara fumbled for it, her face paling as her hands shook. It's a message from my mom, Clara breathed, her voice barely above a murmur. She says they're in town looking for me. That changes everything, Max sighed, the weight of the world settling on his shoulders. We have to decide what to do next, and fast. Mia looked out over the city, rain drenching everything below. Could they risk contacting Clara's mom? What if she was already caught up in this nightmare? But then another thought struck her. What if she's the key we've been missing? Clara stared wide-eyed at Mia, realization dawning. But what if they're after her, too? The sound of footsteps approached, and Mia's heart sank. It's time. Max whispered urgently. The only option left was to push forward into an unknown danger. As they prepared to flee again, Mia felt an unexpected sliver of hope. They were in this together, and somehow, they would find a way through the darkness. And if Clara's mother was the answer, then they had to reach her, but could they stay ahead of the people who were hunting them? And what would they uncover when the truth caught up with them? Mia's heart raced, the pulse of the storm echoing through the fear thundering in her mind. She could hear the footsteps getting closer, the damp soil splashing under heavy boots. Panic set in. They were in a tight spot, and time was slipping through their fingers like the rain. Where do we go? Clara's voice trembled, half a plea, half a question. Her wide eyes mirrored Mia's fear, but there was also a resolve breaking through. We can't keep running without a plan. Max's gaze darted to the rooftop's edge, scanning the darkness below. If we've got to face them, we need to lure them away from your mom. We can't put her in danger. Mia swallowed hard. Luring them away would mean risking everything. But what if they catch us first? She squeezed Clara's hand tighter, her voice low but laced with the agitation that only fear could fuel. We can't just wait for them to find us here. Okay, Max started, his determination creeping back. Okay, listen. We can split up. Draw them away from you, Clara. We'll find a safe spot to regroup. Mia felt a tumultuous wave of emotions crash over her. Are you crazy? We can't separate. The thought of losing either of them in this chaos made her heart clench painfully. Just listen. Max interrupted, his tone sharp but used to keep them focused. I'll take the left side of the building. Mia, you and Clara go right. If we can get their attention, we can give Clara's mom a chance to get to safety. Mia's mind raced with objections, visions of being alone, of standing defenseless against whatever was chasing them. Max, she began. Trust me. He squeezed Mia's shoulder, and for a moment, she caught a glimpse of the brave friend she knew. This is the best chance we have. You can do this. Clara nodded, her decision solidifying in the intensity of the moment. I trust you both. With one last look over the ledge, Mia tried to swallow back the tears that threatened to fall. Okay. We stick to the plan. On 3. 1, 2, 3. They moved as if in a ballet of fear, darting in separate directions. Mia felt the adrenaline surge through her, but she also felt Clara at her side, the bond knit between them always strong, even in separation. They veered off the rooftop, slipping down a fire escape just in time to hear the men's voices below, shouting for them. The sound felt like knives, but Mia pressed on, knowing they had to make it. As they landed softly on the ground, the rain poured harder, obscuring vision, creating a blanket of sound around them. This way. Clara whispered urgently, pointing toward the alley that led to a tangle of side streets. As they sprinted, Mia caught a glimpse of the SUV headlights illuminating the night sky behind them. They were still hunting, relentless as shadows chasing daylight. Do you think it's safe to contact your mom? Mia asked, breathless but anxious. I don't know, Clara replied, shaking her head. What if they trace it? Mia's heart sank. The implications of their next choice weighed heavily. Then we need to find a secure place to hide first. The alley twisted around them like a coiling snake, and the pounding rain drummed in their ears. Cold fear seeped into Mia's bones. They found a small alcove beneath a crumbled overhang, and they crouched inside, panting heavily. They could still hear the distant shouts of their pursuers getting closer, but in this moment, she touched Clara's arm again, the connection anchoring them. We can do this. We just have to stay focused. If we can reach your mom, maybe she knows more. Maybe she'll help us. Clara swallowed hard, wiping away the rain from her face. But what if she's involved in all of this? The question hung thick between them, clashing against the pounding heartbeats that echoed in the small space. They had to know the truth, but what if knowing left them more vulnerable? Mia's mind raced, filled with possibilities. Maybe it's time we found out just how deep this goes. And as the footsteps approached, time slipped from their grasp yet again. They had to act fast, the storm was only a prelude to a brewing reckoning. Ready? Mia whispered, her breath catching with fear and hope intertwined. Ready, Clara affirmed, determination shining through her eyes. With that, they stepped out from their hiding place and into the unknown, seeking the answers that could alter everything. The storm raged on, an echo of the turmoil inside Mia and Clara as they darted out of their hiding place. Breathing heavily, they navigated through the chaotic streets of Maplewood, racing toward the last thread of hope, Clara's mother. The rain soaked them to the bone, but they pressed on, urgency driving every step. Keep moving. Mia hissed, but her heart raced with fear and adrenaline. She glanced back every few seconds, half expecting to see the sinister shapes trailing them. The abandoned streets felt alive, shadows dancing in the dark, swirling with every flicker of lightning. Finally, they reached a quiet cul-de-sac. The familiar yellow light spilling from Clara's house gave them a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos. They approached cautiously, their feet splashing in puddles, the night echoing with distant thunder. What if she's in danger? Clara breathed, her voice trembling. What if they're already here? Mia shook her head. We won't know unless we try. We can't leave her alone. With a tight grip on Clara's hand, they reached the front door. Panic surged as they knocked frantically, hearts pounding against their ribcages like wild drums. Moments felt like hours until Clara's mom, Jessica, opened the door, eyes wide with concern. Clara! Mia! She cried, ushering them in with urgency. What's happening? Mom, we need to hide. Clara exclaimed, her voice coming out in a rush. The storm threatened to break within her heart, uncertainty spilling over. The Abernathy's, they're coming for us. Jessica's eyes sharpened, and she ushered the girls to the living room, her expression serious. We can't stay here for long. Glancing at the window, she added, if they're really after you, we need to think fast. Mia's heart sank, fear creeping into the corners of her brain. They'll find us if we don't stop them. We have proof, Clara explained quickly, producing the crumpled newspaper article. It ties them to a scandal, to everything. Just then a loud crash interrupted the conversation, sending both girls flinching. The unmistakable roar of the SUV engine vibrated in the air, drawing closer. We need to go, now. Jessica commanded, grabbing the article, her face set in determination. Mia felt the world spin as panic consumed her thoughts. They weren't just fighting for themselves anymore, this was bigger. This was about saving an innocent baby who had unknowingly tied their lives to a legacy of greed. No. We can confront them. Mia blurted out, her voice shaky yet charged with conviction. If we show this to the police, Jessica shook her head with intensity. It's too dangerous. They won't play fair. The urgency fueled her voice as she ushered them upstairs, securing the article in her pocket. They needed a plan, and fast. As they ascended the stairs, the footsteps outside grew louder. It was a deafening crescendo of danger. Hearts raced and breaths quickened, each sound amplifying the fear that gripped them. But Clara knew one thing, and her resolve intensified. No matter what happens, we're in this together. The weight of their bond gave her strength, and she shared a look of understanding with Mia and Jessica. Then they heard a loud bang from the front door, followed by frustrated shouts. You can't hide forever. The words sliced through the air, ominous and determined. Your father will hear about this. One voice growled. I don't care. You're not taking him. Clara shouted back, uncharacteristic courage igniting her heart. They would protect him. In a flicker of inspiration, Mia glanced at the small attic door at the end of the hallway. Up there. She whispered. It might give us a chance to see what is happening below without being spotted. They rushed to the attic, climbing up just as the door burst open downstairs. Where are they? The sinister voice called. With beating hearts, the three huddled close, their breath shallow as they listened. They could hear the men searching, their boots thudding against the wooden floors. Check the back. One man barked. I'll search upstairs. They're bound to be here. The other snapped back. Mia felt a surge of anxiety. The shadows swirled tighter, mixed with the rain's relentless drum. Clara, she whispered. What if they find the baby? It's okay, Clara said firmly, taking hold of Mia's shoulders, their silent vow of strength. We have to believe we can outsmart them. If we're smart enough, we can trap them. A plan formed. With desperately hushed urgency, they moved quietly among the dim light of the attic, gathering whatever they deemed useful: an old broom, a bucket, and a few dusty ropes. Mia's mind hovered around the stories they'd read, where bravery and cleverness were always rewarded at the last moment, the footsteps grew louder downstairs. "They're up here. Don't let them escape." Mia felt the moment of confrontation fast approaching. Adrenaline surged as they prepared to enact their unexpected strategy. They tiptoed to the attic opening, exchanging glances that held unspoken trust. With one intense breath, they took their positions. As expected, the door creaked open, and the first of the men stepped inside, eyes sweeping the attic. In an instant, they sprang into action. The girls unleashed their plan. Mia swung the broom at his legs while Clara tipped the bucket over his head. A chaotic splash of rainwater poured over the man as confusion swirled in the air. The second man stormed in, and Jessica seized him, surprising him with raw strength as she tackled him to the ground. "Call the police!" she shouted, stumbling. Their combined effort startled the men, and chaos ensued as they grappled. The moment turned frenzied, lightning flashing brilliantly through the attic window amid shouts and laughter, crisping the tension in the air. "Your legacy won't last," Clara cried as they cornered the men, adrenaline dancing in their veins. Finally, the slamming of a door echoed below, and they could see the flickering patrol car lights in the distance. The professionals had arrived, their sirens cutting through the heavy tension. The men glanced at each other, then lunged for the window, attempting to escape, but they weren't fast enough. The police burst in just as the would-be kidnappers turned to flee. "You're done," a firm voice declared. As the chaos settled, and the truth began unspooling, both Clara and Mia felt the weight of danger lift. Their hearts felt lighter, threads of fear unraveling as relief washed over them. The storm outside rumbled less ferociously as they gathered around, watching as the police secured the men. "You did great," Clara whispered to Mia, who felt a rush of pride. They had faced the storm together and emerged victorious. As dawn approached, the first rays of sunlight broke through the clouds, casting a golden hue upon the remnants of a stormy night. And in that moment, they knew they had weathered it all, not just as two brave girls, but as a family united under a legacy of hope, love, and defiance. A few days later at a press conference, it all came full circle. The billionaire legacy was now tied not just to riches but to the unexpected bonds formed in adversity. News cameras captured the moment the baby was handed over to a loving family, who vowed to raise him with the love and care he deserved. Mia and Clara stood beaming, heroes in their own right, their smiles radiant against a world that had once tried to tear them apart. "Whatever may come next, we'll handle it," Mia said, glancing sideways at Clara, whose heart swelled with warmth. They were unbreakable. Now, it was time to let their voices be heard, as the world around them continued to change. Their adventure had transformed into inspiration, a reminder that love, loyalty, and courage can light the darkest paths. And so they returned to Oak Park, memories of that courageous night echoing through the air, no longer just two kids, but a sisterhood bound by legacy, ready to face anything together. You need to subscribe now to join Mia and Clara on their next journey. This is the moment to show your support for their adventures. Don't wait not even one more second to share this story with friends who need a spark of courage. Leave a like now to keep these inspiring tales alive, and comment your thoughts about this heartwarming transformation. Let your voice be counted.